So now I think we're actually live on YouTube, and now we are also live on LinkedIn. Perfect. Go live. So thanks for joining. Let me see. Cool. Thanks for joining. So today, one of the things I really like to talk about is how you can actually manage your iFlows if you both have if you both have projects and you have some things that is in production that you want to manage. And I think this is something that we have been able to handle for a long time, almost like 2 years, with some of the different capabilities that we have in the tool to allow you to manage this. And I think this is a common scenario that you have a lot of project that is going on, and you want an easy way for them to be able to deliver the integration. So if you have, let me know in the comments, and if you have questions along the way, just put them in and I will try to answer as well as possible. So let's get started here. I got 2 slides I just want to go through. So the problems, we want to manage these systems. We have something like you have long-term projects, maybe 6 months, maybe more, that you want to be able to deliver, and you also want currently to be able to support these scenarios. So some would have like a project track and a support track, but that would not really solve your problems, because you would anyway need somehow this merging, and you need to figure out how to manage these things, because if you make a change in the support track, you would also need to do that into the new project development track and handle it and be able to roll it back. So obviously if you have such a system, it's great, and I think our solution will also be able to support it there. But if you want just to have one tier landscape, you can also do this, and what I'm trying to envision here. So this is our setup. We are currently here. We have a live version that is in our productive system, and we want to start a project and create a new version of this. So let's see how this looks like. If we start out here, so this is the Figaf tool. We can see we have one iFlow here that is in production and is running with this specific version. We can see, are there any differences production, then that is all fine. Okay, we get a request to start on a new project. So let's start here. We'll open this iFlow. We will create go in here, and we will go and say edit. We will just make a difference here in the small up here, where we will say this is our project 2. We'll save it as a version, and then we need to go back and say, okay, this is our project, so we'll be using this version for it. Just so we keep the track of these different scenarios at once. So now we have done that, we need to get this version into the Figaf. We can do that easily with CPI helper. That would allow us to synchronize these artifacts back and forth between the different scenarios. So now we have a new version here. This is version 2, it's revision 7, and if we check our landscape here again, live, we can now see that there's actually a difference. We can go in and we can compare with our BPM viewer what is the difference between these 2 versions, and we should hopefully be able to see what's going on. And we can see that there's some difference in here. Actually, I think, so we can see here the difference here. I think the problem is we are migrating it to a old Cloud Foundry and not the integration chute, so that could be a problem here. Anyway, we now started our project, and as a project developer, I can go in and I say, okay, now I will create a ticket for this project 1, And I will say this is in our normal landscape. This is about, I can assign who is the developer of this. We'll just take our normal user. And this is a Jira ID for the specific project. So now I have, as a user, I've registered that we want to be able to deliver this. And I can work on and create as many revisions as I like. If I transport this, I can also transport it to the QA system. And let's just try that. So we now created a transport. We can go in and we can apply the different configuration here. We can see that there's already a search replace for the QA system. And we can go in and we can define different parameters here. Well, we'll not do. We'll send it to approval. Now as an architect, I get to approve it. Obviously, in most cases, you would not approve your own stuff. So let's just approve it. Let's go to probably. And we can import it. And apply this. If you have questions along the way, just put it into the chat. That is much more fun that way. So now it is transport completed. We have moved it into our virtual QA system. And here you can see the virtual where we are replacing the the iFlow name with a prefix. So we can easily just go in and see here. So it is get into a package that's called QA Figaf versus app, and iFlow that is called QA underscore. So we know what this is about. The URLs, etc., will also be replaced on this. So we know which system this is. This is all contained in the transport system. Okay. And if we go to the landscape, we can now see that this version is in production or in QA. So I pick up the phone and I got a new Jira that there is some problem with this specific iFlow after I trace it and figure out what is going on. Okay. So my idea is then I will go back here to this iFlow here, and I can see, okay, what is going on here. I can look at the versions here, and I can see we have a ticket on here, and this was the project one, so that means I can go in and say, okay, hey, normal user, what is going on? Do you actually deal with these things, and how do we fix these things? And I need to make a change on this scenario. So let's say I do that. I can go here back to the iFlow and say, okay, I don't think we do not have the rollback yet. So you will probably go in here. Probably it's something we'll be adding at some point in time. We can see we have the iFlow up here live. So I will just say rollback here. I will create 101 as the version number for this rollback. And now we can open it. Oh, I can go in and I can say edit on this item here. Let's see, I'm actually here, I am. And I can easily go in and say, okay, let's add a header here that says bug fix it 1. To save as version. So now it's actually much the same process. I will synchronize it to the Figaf tool, and then I can actually create a ticket based on this iFlow. I can transport it along the way. But as you probably will notice, if we transport this version into QA, it will come and complain saying, hey, you actually have an older version in the QA system. So we would need to roll this back. We can then deploy this, move it into production. And once we have done that fix, we can then roll this back and see what is going on. So let's just try that. Yeah, if you have questions along the way, just add them into the chat. That is much more fun. So I go back to my transport overview. Now we can see we actually have this version 2 here. 102, we can open the object, we can assign a ticket to it, bug fix. Doing it live is a lot more fun. We'll do it to this one, we'll add a new Jira ID. And yeah, obviously there's sometimes a little delay between I get this ticket. So when I'm doing this, I can look up the different test cases I have. I can check what is going on in this. And I can run these test cases also as a part of the DevOps. And I think this is really an important part, because if you do not have good test cases, it's really difficult to actually see, do we transport something that is valid and we have the correct result of it. So let's view the result here. Pull messages. So there is some change in this. Not sure what happened. So it somehow mixed up the two flows. This is what you happen when you're doing it online. That the iFlow names has changed, or something like that in the process. Anyway, so right now we will be able to see the result of the test. We can start our transport, and we can send it to approval. And as an approver, I can go in and I can compare this also and see, okay, what is actually the difference here between these two iFlows, and I can do it both in this view. So it is something about a project and a bug fix, I think. So easy to see what is different between these things. And I can obviously also use the iFlow diff2html. That will also give me the version, and here we can see we have this version in production and this version that we're transporting. We will approve it, and this is probably going, or this will end badly, because we are now trying to import it into a later release. So it keeps these checks. I'm not sure if we want to do an override of this. The workaround right now is just to go in to this in QA, roll it back, and then you can actually apply the change to it, and you will then, let's do that. So we'll go into a ticket. I know that it was this previous one we had, but it's also possible to find it from the system. See, okay, we have this system in, we'll just roll it back. That's by far the easiest approach right now. And then I will go back to my new transport here, and I will import this. So now I can import it. And I can then also create the next ticket to prod. Same gear number. And then do the same over again. So there's a lot of repetitive things, and obviously this makes it a little easier to handle these scenarios. We'll start the transport. And import it. So we do not have approval here on the import. You can define that on the landscape level, making it easier to see what is going on. So it complains that this user credential does not exist. We should probably fix it, and there's an override of the same version ID. So what now is I can then go back here to my iFlow here. I can roll back to the product version. I can apply the small change, and then I can start transporting again. And with this transparency, we can see in here on the versions here, here we can see all the things that have happened on this specific iFlow. If we do not want to view it like this, we can also look at the documentation level. Where we can see, okay, all the different changes that have happened on this specific iFlow, who made them, the bug fixes, where they are in transport in the process, the iFlow documentation, etc. So we get all of these different things, making it a lot easier for us to manage what is going on and who sees what. So this was a little longer video, just giving you some ideas about how you can actually manage your integrations, even though you just have one tier. Actually here I just have two tier, or two tenants, a development and a QA that is being reused. we had all the approval, all the transports to go into this virtual QA system. You can set up approvals so you can actually not see what is going on, and then, or you cannot make modifications. So you mean you have a full transport process, you can roll back and deal with all these things, do comparison between the different models and versions. If you have also enabled the Git repository, you also get all of these iFlows into the Git, where you can see what's going on, who have made which changes to the iFlow, use the Git versioning. Git is really good for managing iFlow versions, script XSLT resources, but you will have a hard time understanding what has been changed between two BPMs or two iFlows, because they're using BPMN notation, and this is really crappy to see. If there's just a small change, the full change or XML that is being used there just breaks up. So that's why we added the diff to HTML. So that was actually what I wanted to share. I hope you liked it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Well, yeah, if you're new to hit the subscribe, I guess. If this is something you like and want to see more of, please also share it. I would appreciate that. So thanks for attending. I really appreciate you spending time with me here. And then, yeah, I'll be live some other day. But for now, thank you. And let's see here. I'll end it here. End. Yes. End. Yes.